It's Cougar Sports Saturday.
That's caught! Touchdown! Stayed inside the boundary and gets in for 6.
Cougar Sports Saturday, a presentation of KSL Sports.
Richie right to the rim, driving score! He would not be denied!
BYU Sports Talk by Cougar fans for Cougar fans. Sponsored by Any Hour Services, electrical, plumbing, heating, and air. Your hosts are Mitch Harper and Kyle Ireland. On Utah's legacy home of the Cougars, KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
Welcome back in here on KSL News Radio. Mitch Harper with you. BYU football head coach Kalani Sitake and Georgia Tech head coach Brent Key were in Orlando having a little bit of a Pop-Tarts Bowl media day. They were with the trophy and both ate Pop-Tarts out of the toaster trophy. That might be the motivation the team needs. Win that trophy, that toaster trophy, one of the great trophies in the bowl season. It's up there with the New Mexico Bowl pottery trophy. It's a great one. It's a good bowl game trophy. And BYU will look to take down the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets to get that trophy and to get to know Georgia Tech. I was joined by Jackson Caudell, publisher of Georgia Tech on SI. Here's my conversation with Jackson. BYU football continues preparations for the Pop-Tarts Bowl, and they'll be taking on Georgia Tech. Only the second time ever BYU taking on an ACC team in the bowl season. And to break down the Yellow Jackets in this top 25 matchup, joined now by Jackson Caudell, publisher of Georgia Tech on SI. You can follow him on X and on Instagram. And Jackson, appreciate you hopping on board. This is a pretty good matchup, top 25 matchup, but when it comes to bowl games, there's always a question about motivation. How motivated is this Georgia Tech team to end this season on a high note?
Very motivated. The season started out great. They started out 8-0, got into the top 10, faltered down the stretch, mostly due to defensive issues, lost 3 of the last 4. But it's still an overall really good season. And for what Brent Key has been building, when he took over, Georgia Tech hadn't been to a bowl game in quite a few years. They hadn't won more than 3 games at all under Jeff Collins. And, they won 5 when he was the interim. They won 7 back-to-back years. They went 9-3 this year. And you have a chance to finish with 10 wins for the first time since 2014. And you have a chance to finish the season ranked. And because you're playing in a high-profile bowl game against the team that, almost made the college football playoff and is number 12. If you win this game, you could finish the season ranked in the top 20. And even given some of the faltering down the stretch, that's still an incredible season, especially considering where the program was just a short time ago. So they are very motivated. This is a team that is very much looking forward to playing in this game.
BYU and Georgia Tech kicks off Saturday, December 27th, 1:30 p.m. Mountain Time, 3:30 p.m. Eastern. We'll have extended pregame beginning at 10 a.m. here on KSL. And I'm curious, Jackson, with this matchup, Haynes King, I think this is anything going to change with this offense now that Buster Faulkner's going to Florida? What's kind of the offensive game plan going into this one? Is it more of the same and relying on Haynes King?
Yeah, I don't think the overall game plan is going to change, but, it's more than just Buster Faulkner. Assistant quarterbacks coach A.J. Erderly, he left. Offensive line coach Jeep Wade is gone. Assistant offensive line coach Mike Pauley is gone. Running backs coach Norvell McKenzie is gone. Wide receivers coach Trent McKnight is reportedly possibly leaving. There's just a huge chunk of this offensive staff for Georgia Tech that's not going to be on the field coaching in this game. And so I don't want to say keep it simple, but I don't think you're going to see just a radically new, game plan in 2 weeks. This offense, it lives and dies with Haynes King, whether he's their leading rusher. He is the MVP of this football team, finished 10th in Heisman Trophy voting. So I still think everything is going to revolve around him being physical up front on the lines of scrimmage and running the football.
You brought up the fact that Haynes King was 10th in the Heisman voting. What makes King so special? I think for BYU fans that maybe haven't watched Georgia Tech as close, I know maybe some watched the season opener against Colorado facing a Big 12 team, but what's made Haynes King so special since he transferred over from Texas A&M a handful of years ago?
There's a lot of things, I think, both on the field and off. He is I know it's kind of cliche with all the leadership and intangibles and stuff, but like he is a tremendous leader, both in the locker room and just a tremendous face for this program and helping them get to where they are today. And then just on the field, like gutsy and like a warrior doesn't even like begin to really describe it, but those are the words like I would use for it. Like, it feels like every time he gets hit really hard, it just like makes him stronger. Like if you see Haynes King limping around, like you need to be worried, because then you're going to get the absolute best version of Haynes King. Like there's no quit in him. Like he, again, just gutsy, a warrior. Like there's just a lot of stuff just that he does that you don't really find anywhere else. Although, like, I do think like him and Bear Bachmeyer are similar in a lot of ways.
Talk with Jackson Caudell here, publisher Georgia Tech on SI here on Cougar Tracks on KSL News Radio. Georgia Tech defensively, the stats would say the run defense isn't great, and I think that's music to the ears of BYU, because the Cougars love to run the football, whether it be with Bear Bachmeyer and LJ Martin, and still probably got to wait to see on LJ. He's someone that could be, maybe considering the NFL. So I'm curious to see what happens there. BYU saying that no opt-outs as of now. But the low rush defensive numbers for Georgia Tech, is there context behind that? To tell us a little bit about that defense, and are they as poor as the defensive rankings would suggest?
Yes. Like, there's not another way for me to say that. So at the beginning of the year, they were the perfect definition of bend but don't break. Like they actually, like some of the statistical numbers, like rushing defense, passing defense, and some of the underlying numbers weren't great, but they were actually in like the top 25 and top 30 of scoring defense for like some of the year. Like they would give up some yards to teams. Like the Duke game is a perfect example. Like Duke nearly had 500 yards of offense in that game, but they only scored 19 points because, they had a fumble at the goal line. They had a mishandled field goal. They had a missed field goal. They had all kinds of issues. But over the last month, like the dam just broke. Like everything just collapsed. And it started with the loss to NC State. They gave up nearly 600 yards to NC State, who is an okay football team at best. Like they're 7-5. It carried over into the next game. They played Boston College, who, for anybody listening that didn't know, Boston College is 2-10 this year. They put up 550 or so yards on Georgia Tech and just completely unstoppable. They ranked 120th, or around 120th or so in rushing offense, and like they nearly got 200 on the ground. And it carried over, into the loss against Pittsburgh, where they gave up close to 200 or a little over 200 yards rushing. The defense played a lot better, actually, the last time out against Georgia, but it was mostly in affecting the quarterback and in pass defense. Georgia was still able to be really physical, especially in the first half. So when I first saw this matchup of these two teams in the bowl game, like that was the thing, outside of like just losing all the staff members now on offense. It's like, if BYU is a really physical team and they are excellent at running the football, like if Georgia Tech can't stop them, then like I don't know how they win the game personally.
Talk with Jackson Caudell here for a few more moments. Is there any players that you're kind of keeping tabs on for potential opt-outs or availability, whether it be injuries or opt-outs? Is there guys on the Georgia Tech team that you're looking at that you're going to be monitoring leading up to kickoff?
Right now, I'm going to say no. Like, I think this team is all in, especially the senior class. I mean, there's 27 seniors on this team that have, been through the entire rebuild from 2022 on. Now that could change. Like for me, I don't know if I want to speculate on that, just because things can get crazy with the transfer portal. When you have offensive staff members leave, that always comes into question. Like, okay, are any players going to go with them? But right now, I would anticipate no. But I mean, that could drastically change in like 24 hours.
No question. I mean, it is crazy this time of the year. It's the bridge between one season and another for these college football programs. And a guy that appears to be going to be leading it for the years to come for Georgia Tech is Brent Key. Kalani Sitake and Brent Key both talked about how they're alums at their respective programs. Has that been the key to the success for Brent Key? Is that he is an alum and he understands how this program operates? What's made him so successful here and to lock up a contract extension through 2030?
Well, again, I'll kind of go back to some cliches in football. It's like he is the perfect fit for Georgia Tech. He played at Georgia Tech, was an excellent player there. Made All ACC. They won several games when he was there. Like it was one of the more successful periods, an extended period in Georgia Tech history. He came back to coach. I mean, he voluntarily left Alabama after playing or coaching in 3 straight national championship games to come to Georgia Tech in 2019 as the offensive line coach. And then, when he took over as the interim, he nearly willed them to a bowl game after starting 1-3. Like, he is the perfect culture building head coach, and especially for Georgia Tech. Like, their identity is be physical, run the football, and finding the right fits for your program. And I think he does that. I won't say as well as anybody. He's not a perfect head coach, but like he does that. Just he's outstanding at that. I'll say, and like again, he is just a perfect fit for Georgia Tech. He understands the place, and just what he's been able to do here in just a short amount of time is pretty incredible in my opinion.
Along with Haynes King at quarterback, who are some other players that we should be aware of that? Some of the top guys for this Georgia Tech team?
So just sticking with offense, they use a running back tandem of Jamal Haynes and Malachi Hosley. Jamal Haynes hasn't, had quite the year everybody thought he might have coming into the year, but Hosley's a transfer from Penn. He's been fantastic. Isaiah Canyon and Eric Rivers are a really good wide receiver duo. Canyon's a more bigger physical type of player. Eric Rivers is kind of the deep threat. You can't forget Malik Rutherford either. He's been with the program for a long time. Keelan Rutledge is an all ACC guard. He kind of leads the charge up front. Defensively, I would say that the names to know, like Kyle Eford at linebacker, he's arguably the leader of the defense along with Jordan Vandenberg at defensive tackle. I would say those are probably the 2 names to know up front. And then in the secondary, Amari Harvey, who got injured during the middle of the year. He was injured in the Syracuse game, came back. He's had a really good season on a unit that hasn't really played all that well, but like those would be the names I would suggest.
He's Jackson Caudell, publisher of Georgia Tech on SI, kind enough to carve out some time with me to get a lowdown on this Georgia Tech team. I think this is going to be a good game, Jackson. Looking forward to it, and looking forward to your bylines on Georgia Tech on SI, and we'll see how this game plays out in a couple weeks.
Absolutely. Appreciate you having me.
Big thanks to Jackson for hopping on to the show to give an insider look at Georgia Tech. Taking a break. On the other side, we'll get some more BYU basketball and BYU football talk here on Cougar Sports Saturday. Here with BYU defensive ends coach and special teams coordinator Kelly Papinga, getting ready for the Pop-Tarts Bowl. And Coach, how would you describe how practices have been coming off a tough setback at the Big 12 Championship, which kind of feels like a lifetime ago, but just how have practices been in bowl prep?
Yeah, it's good to be practicing. Major advantage to be practicing in bowl games. I feel like it's another spring ball. So I just feel like it's another step forward for our program, another step forward for development with these guys. And so, yeah, it's, I'm not taking a shot at anybody, but it kind of blows my mind when teams don't want to take advantage of that opportunity. And so everybody has their own opinions on that, but I just feel like it helps our team. It helped our team last year. I think, get ourselves ready for this 2025 season. So the way that we approach this bowl game, the way that we compete in this bowl game, I think is going to really help us, take a great trajectory into the 2026 season. So these seniors want to leave a mark, just like last year's seniors. And so 12-win season hasn't happened here, I think, since 2001. So great opportunity to be one of the best teams in BYU football history.
Is there too much made on the outside of the mental motivation side when it comes to bowl games, or do you kind of buy into that motivation can sometimes maybe determine the outcome in these bowl games?
Yeah. We always say the team that's the most excited and the most willing to play this game is going to be the team that typically wins, right? So we got to come ready and prepared, right? And then we got to come excited and motivated to play. And if you are, you're going to be fine. And that comes through leadership. That comes leadership from Kalani and the rest of his coaches, and then our team leadership. And I think Tanner Wall's ready to go. I think Chase Roberts is ready to go. Like, these guys want to leave their mark on BYU football. And so, it'd be a shame for us to go 11-2 and then go out to that game and just not be willing to play the game or be not motivated to play. That's not who we are. So I would be completely shocked if something like that happened. I think we practiced well. Maybe last week a little bit, the first couple of weeks, there's a little hangover after the Texas Tech game, but you know what? We had a little bit more time to get over that, right? Not playing a game the following week. So I thought Friday's practice was really good last week. Monday's practice was really good. I thought today's practice was really good. So we just got to continue to build that momentum up to next Saturday. And I know that, the good thing for us is Georgia Tech's really motivated too as well with the big time quarterback. So yeah, it's gonna be a fun game. I think this is a big time game against I think one of the best teams in the country. They're ranked 22nd right now, but I think this team was in the top 10 most of the season. So yeah, we're gonna have to come play our A game, and if we show up with the right mindset, I think we'll like the result.
And I wanted to ask you too, you brought up some of the seniors. Another senior, Will Farron, how's he been doing in practices? I know that he is one that doesn't let any miss really get to him, but that miss in the championship game, how's he been kicking the ball in practices, and just maybe the mindset of Will going into this one?
Yeah, Will, I was just spending time right before I came over here talking to him, and for Will, it's just making sure he's striking the ball good, and a couple of those last couple games, really going back to the Texas Tech game where he's had misses in that game and the Central Florida game, and then the championship game, is a lot of it is just him not striking the ball and hitting the ball like he's wanting to. And so that's what he's just focused on. Like, I just want to strike the ball good. So, I mean, people got such high expectations with the season that Will had a year ago, going 24 for 27 and making whatever it was, going into this season, 20-something kicks in a row. And I promise you, nobody has higher expectations than Will Farron. So he's one of the greatest kickers the BYU's ever had. He's one of the best kickers in the country. And just like the rest of the seniors, he wants to make sure he leaves his mark on this program. And so I feel confident. I mean, he came out yesterday. We didn't kick today, but on Monday we kicked as a team, and he came out. He was 6 for 6. He hit 2 over 55. And so, I would say he's in a good place now. Is that going to be the same as next game? I don't know, but he's in a good spot right now.
And you brought up the almost like another spring ball. It is this time of the year in college football calendar is always unique. It's almost like a bridge between closing out 2025 and then before we know it, it's winter conditioning and 2026 gets things going. How have some of these young players in your defensive end group, progressing? A lot of these young guys have already played this season, but how are they coming along here and there at the end of 2025?
Yeah, I'm really pleased with the young guys. I think Logan's done a great job of helping those guys transition from Tausili Akana, the Nusi Tamuipeu, the Kendall Wall, the Kini Fonohema, to Hunter Clegg, like all those guys. Like, I think we have some really good young guys, and then with Bodie coming back and Ville coming back at that big end position, like I feel really good about our end position. And then the guys that we have coming in, guys that we've signed, I can talk about those guys, right? Like Braxton Lindsay and Nehemiah Colina, and we got some dudes at that spot. It's gonna be very competitive, and it's gonna be fun. I'm excited, and to see these guys develop throughout practice is fun to see those guys. Tausili's just gotten better and better each and every week, and that, I would say the same thing with Nusi, and Hunter coming home off a mission. I think he started really fast, and now that little. He's got a little tired, but he's doing good. Like, Hunter's going to be great. He's going to be a great player for us, and I'm excited about that group. It's as good as a group that I've had and as deep as I've ever had. So
BYU history as well as anyone. I mean, it's there's so much depth. I think I'm curious to just kind of get your thoughts now that Kalani's kind of signed that long-term extension. I'm sure we could go in a whole different direction with that sort of thing, but now that piece is signed and delivered, with Kalani being long-term. Just maybe what's potential for BYU with enhanced resources now to go continue to build up this depth in the roster?
Yeah, I mean, for sure the next 2 or 3 years, we're going to be in great shape. We probably won't sign many guys this next year just because there's not going to be many spots after all the guys that we've signed. We got a bunch of guys coming home off of missions. Adney Reed just came home off a mission. Devo Tuataga is going to come home off a mission, so that's adding to the group. So this group's going to be loaded, and it's going to be fun, and the competition is going to be fierce, and for us to find a way to get all these guys on the field is going to be fun. I just want us to finish this season the right way, and that, just like I said, it's going to build a ton of momentum into this next season.
Last thing for you, Coach, you bring up finishing the right way. Just maybe speak to some of the seniors. We brought up Will, but Logan Latui, who comes back for another year, and sending those guys off on a high note in this position group, and just the senior classes as a whole.
Yeah, these guys have been through a lot the last 3 years, right, since we've been here and gone into the Big 12. And so from going to 5-7 and barely missing a bowl in 2023, and then those guys working like crazy to get us to 11-2 season a year ago, and a bowl win against Colorado, who was one of the top offenses in the country, and we hold them to 200 yards of offense, and building that momentum into this year and, having the run that we had, going all the way to the Big 12 championship game. And they've made our program better, right? We've taken that step forward. Now we know what it takes to win a Big 12 championship. We've played against a Big 12 champion. They know what that's like being in that stadium. And so they've given us all those experiences to build for that coming into 2026. And so the best way for them to leave their mark now is to be finishers. And that's what Kalani's talked about forever, is just he wants this team to finish the right way. And just like I said before, it'd be a shame for us to go through all this stuff that we've gone through in this season, to go 11-2 and Big 12 championships, contenders and all that, and then go out there and just have fun at Disney World and at the Universal Studios. These guys, they're going to have fun when they're out there, but we're going to be locked in and make sure we're going there for a reason. That's play a football game. And I know these guys want to leave this program in a better place than they had it a year ago, and that's going to be winning this game.
Taking a break. On the other side, we'll get to some more BYU talk here on Cougar Sports Saturday.
It's Cougar Sports Saturday.
That's caught! Touchdown! Stayed inside the boundary and gets in for 6.
Cougar Sports Saturday, a presentation of KSL Sports.
Richie right to the rim, driving score! He would not be denied!
BYU Sports Talk by Cougar fans for Cougar fans. Sponsored by Any Hour Services, electrical, plumbing, heating, and air. Your hosts are Mitch Harper and Kyle Ireland. On Utah's legacy home of the Cougars, KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
Welcome back into Cougar Sports Saturday, powered by KSL Sports. I had the opportunity to talk with BYU defensive tackle John Tamoipeau earlier this week. I started off asking JT what takeaways he could take away from that loss against Texas Tech.
JT, you got a disappointing trip to Lubbock last week. What are the biggest takeaways that you guys can come away with from that game?
I think the biggest takeaways for us is just understanding who we really are. We've been having a really blessed and great season, and last week was the outcome that we got. So, I think sometimes it's good for teams to get knocked down and see how they respond, because sometimes they do come back faster. So maybe we just needed that. Maybe we just needed that humble moment where we just had to regroup, and this week we get to prove what type of team we really are, coming back from that tough loss last week.
Do you feel like it was a matter of execution? The game plan was okay, but you guys just didn't, live up to what the prep was heading into that game? Obviously, coming off a bye week as well.
Yeah, obviously, man, there's no excuse. No excuse, man. We took that loss. But honestly, man, it's just on us, Nothing really special they did. Nothing stood out that they did. It was just everything came down to our 111 job and how we executed, and we did execute it well enough last week.
One of the bright spots that I thought from that game from you guys as a front seven and a defense as a whole was the ability to get pressure on their quarterback, Morton. I thought you guys were active and in the backfield quite a bit in that game, got a lot of push up front with you and Keanu. Was that something where you guys, felt like there was something that you were able to do differently? Was it, something from their offensive line? And maybe how can you take the ability to get that pressure into this next game against TCU with a Hoover at quarterback?
I mean, one thing we just always said, especially last week, now going into this week, just us doing our 111th and more, not only doing our job, but just doing more to help out the other 9 on the field, Me and Keanu, we had a lot to prove last week. We know they have a great front seven, and we just wanted to show them that we also have a great front seven. We also have a great D line. So we just wanted to show them that we're also up there with them too. And just going into this week, I feel like we need to carry that on. The pressures, the run stops, the fits, everything. I feel like we just need to continue to get better every single week with that, and I feel like we are right now.
It seems like every week in the Big 12, there's always a high-powered offense that you guys are facing, good quarterback play, and that's no different this week with Josh Hoover. What have you seen so far from your game prep about Josh Hoover and maybe their offense as a whole that you guys need to attack?
Oh man, they're very explosive offense. They have a lot of athletes that can make plays. They're fast. They have a good old line that works together. And, of course, man, they have a really good quarterback. Not a good quarterback, they got a great quarterback. So we understand our job with him. And understand what he can do and how he can impact the game a lot by just his arm. And we know he's a sling gunner, so we're gonna try to slow him down and stuff, and we're gonna have some surprises for him in the backfield.
It's been a while since you guys have been at home. At least it feels that way. I mean, the Utah game was the last time you guys played at LES. How nice is it to be back at home this week?
Oh, man, it's a blessing. I love playing home. Just the environment, the atmosphere, having all the family, friends, and, the rock in the crowd, man. Playing in that stadium is nothing different. Last time we played TCU, we was at their home field, so now they get to come to us. So we're going to see how they control that environment, how they control our fans and stuff. But I know they're going to have fun. But, man, they're super happy to be home.
You guys fell to 12th in the college football playoff rankings this week. Last year, suffered back-to-back losses. You knew what that experience was like and the disappointment that brought. How do you make it so that this little blip doesn't turn into what it did last year, where you guys were prevented from ultimately reaching your goal because of some unfortunate tiebreakers, but you guys still have the chance to make it to Arlington with these 3 games ahead of you?
Obviously, we learned a lot from last year. Last year kind of the same thing happened, but this year I think we just we know how to focus not on the outside noise, whether it's good or bad news. I think we know we still have a 3-game season, and we have to finish to get back where we wanted to, and we just got to take it week by week. I know a lot of boys are excited, us to get back to them and stuff, but we understand what we have to do, what we have to work on every single week, and we got to earn it. So we're just taking it game by game now, and we'll see what happens.
A couple last things for you, JT. Every season has, its unique storylines. You're obviously, new teammates each year and guys coming in with the portal and whatnot, freshmen, guys coming and going. But how do you and your teammates bond? Like during the week, during like these game, road trips, what have you guys found to build chemistry throughout this season? I've heard, Clash Royale, some of the game, games like that have been played. How have you and your defensive teammates bonded this season?
Man, I think the biggest thing for us is food. Man, after class, after lift in the morning, you can always see all of us just sitting down eating somewhere. Like me and the boys, we just went to Nico's today, Nico's Pizza. We all just went over there, went to go eat lunch and everything and all that stuff. So I think the biggest thing that always brings us together is just food, and us going to sit down just allows us, just to be with each other, just to hang out with each other and stuff. So I'll say that's our biggest thing, at least for the big boys up front. We always going to eat. So, and then on like away trips and stuff, man, the hotels are fun. We're very blessed to have Coach Kalani as a coach, and he believes in just letting us relax and having a lot of freedom during the games. So, just being at the hotel, being able to mess around with the boys a little bit, you have to go play board games and stuff and all of that. We have a lot of freedom just to do some team bonding in the hotel, so our heads are not really stressed about the game and stuff. So he just allows us to do that stuff, and that's why we're so close.
You had some Nico's Pizza, but if you had to choose your meal, like if you had one meal to eat for the rest of your life, what are you going with?
Oh, man, I'm going fried chicken and potato salad and rice. Yeah, that's my favorite meal. My mama always made it for me ever since I was a kid, and that's my number one meal. I'll eat that every day.
Nice, I love it. Last thing for you. You speak Tongan. Have you had the chance to chop it up on the field with your teammates? Do you speak Tongan with anybody on the coaching staff, any of your teammates?
Usually just like during the game and stuff, we're always talking up front and everything, especially when we're moving around, when we have games, when we have blitzes. The front D-line, most of us is poly, so we're always talking. And then we just have to be careful sometimes, when we're playing other teams that also have Polynesian guys on the O-line, they can understand what we're saying and stuff. But mostly these last 2 weeks we're able to speak a different language, for we can communicate without the O-line knowing. So, yeah, me, Keanu, Logan, and also we got Bodie learning something too. So that's usually how we communicate in our little different language and tongue.
That was my conversation with BYU defensive tackle John Tamoy-Peau. Interesting little nugget there. I didn't expect that out of that interview with JT, but the fact that that defensive line is able to speak another language, Mitch, to help communicate with each other and not give anything away to the opposing offense, kind of fascinating.
It is, and maybe what's not a interesting nugget, but maybe just a common sense nugget, these defensive linemen bond over food. I love that little tidbit there from John Tamoy-Peau. And one thing about him, too, he's got a good personality. If you ever listen to Media Availability Sound, you can listen to all of it on Cougar Tracks podcast. You'll hear a laugh in the background from during the coordinator speaking. There's always a BYU player laughing. It's John Tamoy-Peau. He's it's a very contagious laugh. You always hear it every single practice. He's full of energy. John Tamoy-Peau, great interview with him. Let's take a break. On the other side, we'll hear from BYU linebacker Jack Kelly, fresh off a 2-sack performance here on Cougar Sports Saturday. BYU football. One of BYU's top defensive players is Jack Kelly, and here's my chat with BYU's captain linebacker, Jack Kelly, here on Cougar Sports Saturday.
Jack just got done talking with Coach Hill, and he said defense today maybe one of the best practices he's seen from you guys since he's been here. How would you describe what practice was like today?
Yeah, I'd say it was our best one as well. People were just making plays. We were doing our assignment, playing with effort. I think that's the biggest thing is just the amount of effort that was shown today. Finishing every play with 11 hats around the ball. It was just a fly-around type of day, make plays, and everyone playing for each other.
What's inspiring that? Is it just so you just chalk that up to the loss, or was there something else that's kind of inspiring that intensity in practice today?
No, I think it's just really being grateful and humble for where we're at. We are 8-1. We're in a great spot. We have more opportunities ahead, and we can't let any of those opportunities pass us up by letting a day of practice slip or anything like that. So we really just came out here, attacked it, and tried to make it our best day.
Did you or the rest of the team pay any attention to the playoff rankings this week?
No, not really. It is what it is. If we don't take care of these next 3 games, well, first of all, this week, but if we don't take care of these weeks, then those rankings aren't going to matter at the end of the season. So we're really just focused on now, today, and getting better today.
Coming out of the Texas Tech game, the defense, had moments where you guys were really playing at a high level. But what were areas that, when you sized up the film and dove into it, that you feel like are areas to correct going forward?
I think just making mistakes, but then using the effort to correct those mistakes. So maybe a D-line messed up something and then I didn't feel it, or I messed something up and they didn't feel it. So it's really just playing off of each other and playing with effort, I think, is going to be the biggest thing to fill in those mistakes, because they're going to happen every game. So we have to make sure we're doing it to the best of our ability. What
are your impressions of this TCU offense? I know you weren't part of the BYU program 2 years ago when BYU last played TCU, but your impressions of this offense and Josh Hoover at quarterback?
Yeah, they got a great quarterback. The O-line's solid, great running backs, great receivers. They got talent everywhere, so it's going to be a good challenge for us. I think they're going to come out. They're a high-powered offense. They're going to throw the ball a lot. But then when they do run the ball, they got those great backs and O-line. So it's going to be a good challenge for us, but it's an exciting one as well.
Was it last week, Coach Hill kind of touched on this, that he felt like you and this whole linebacker unit were healthier than maybe you guys have been in a month. Would you agree with that sentiment? I mean, the stats probably don't lie. You guys each all had sacks, the starters, but how would you kind of assess that?
Yeah, I'd say it was definitely our healthiest week. The weeks prior, me and Zay were banged up and maybe not playing to the best of our abilities. So last week, it was definitely the best we felt since the start of the season, and made some plays, so hopefully we can continue that this week.
How nice is it, though, coming back from a loss that you're returning home? Because last year, it sounds so simple, but last year you guys lost a game at home, then went on the road, just to get back to home, because it's been a while since you guys played at LES.
Yeah, I think Doc Main was telling me today 2 of our last 7 games or something like that has been at home. So it's going to be great to get back in front of Cougar Nation, get back in the routine of being at home, and just go out there and make plays in front of our fans and then do it for each other.
How do you guys feel like you've been, playing? Would you feel like there was progress made defensively, despite how that game played out against Texas Tech? Like, if so, where were areas you felt like were points of success for this defense?
Yeah, I think so for sure. We got better in stopping the run. Obviously, they still broke some runs, but overall it was better. I think we got better in pass coverage and blitzing. So it's kind of like an overall. I feel like we got better. Obviously, there's going to be improvements. We want to continue to improve each and every day, but there was a lot of positives.
I know you guys are just focused on this one game, but just how motivated is this group to try and get to Arlington and get to that Big 12 championship game and have a chance, because last year you guys were so close.
Yeah, I mean, everyone wants to be there. That's one of our goals for sure. But like you said, we got to focus on this week. We got to make sure that we win this game and take it day by day. Don't get too far ahead, because that's when you're going to let something slip on your day-to-day basis, and that's going to show up in games.
How much are you appreciating and enjoying the final ride in college football? This is your senior year. How much are you enjoying this?
I've been loving it. The brotherhood, I mean, you just look on it and see how much fun we're having, how much these people love me and I love them. It's awesome. And then in front of this amazing fan base, it's been phenomenal and nothing short of just exceptional, honestly.
To follow up on that, just this BYU experience, I'm curious if you go back to when you arrived here in the winter of 2024 to now, like, has it exceeded your expectations? Like, just how this BYU experience has been to this point?
Yeah, for sure. I didn't really know much of what to expect coming in. I didn't really know too many people that were on BYU at the time, so it's definitely exceeded my expectations, just the love and the brotherhood that's here. The coaches do a phenomenal job at setting the culture and making sure we buy into that. And so everyone that they bring in here is really loving and your brother, so it's just like really a big family, and you just enjoy every day. It's not like coming in, oh, I have to practice. It's like I get to practice with these guys. We get to have fun. We get to have this juice together. It's awesome.
Last thing for you, Jack, and appreciate the time. How would you describe the feeling when you know you've got a path to the quarterback to getting a sack? Last week you had 2. Just how would you describe that moment, that feeling?
I think it's second to none for me. Obviously, hopefully you get a strip sack in there as well. But once you see it and your move works, it's just like, I need to get him down. You can't get juked, because a lot of these quarterbacks are excellent at breaking the pocket and escaping. So it's really just run full speed, but don't get juked. But, the feeling is second to none. It's just awesome, and you love to make plays for this team.
And that's BYU linebacker Jack Kelly. Taking a break. On the other side, we'll get to some more BYU football talk here on Cougar Sports Saturday.
It's Cougar Sports Saturday.
That's caught! Touchdown! Stayed inside the boundary and gets in for 6.
Cougar Sports Saturday, a presentation of KSL Sports.
Richie right to the rim, driving score! He would not be denied!
BYU Sports Talk by Cougar fans for Cougar fans. Sponsored by Any Hour Services, electrical, plumbing, heating, and air. Your hosts are Mitch Harper and Kyle Ireland. On Utah's legacy home of the Cougars, KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
Hour number 2 is off and running here on Cougar Sports Saturday. Mitch Harper and Nate Slack coming to you live here at Broadcast House in Salt Lake City. KSL News Time, 1:06 p.m. It's crossover season. Football and basketball intersect, and it's an exciting time because both football and men's basketball for BYU sports, top 10 in the AP Top 25 polls. The only athletic department that can boast top 10 teams in both football and men's basketball right now. These are good times, Cougar Nation. You're living large. To me, this is a golden era of BYU sports. And then you add on top of all this with the men's basketball team, the most anticipated season in program history. And there's so much excitement. There's so much buzz to the point where now it's time to actually go play the games. And Monday night, BYU tips off the season, the most anticipated season in program history, against the Villanova Wildcats. Tip-off between the Cougars and Wildcats is at 7:30 p.m. First meeting between BYU and Villanova coming up on Monday night since 1984. Cannot wait to see that one. And all the action can be heard right here on KSL News Radio. And throughout the season, you're going to see a lot of BYU on ESPN, and a guy that I believe is the voice of Big 12 basketball. He was in Kansas City at Big 12 Basketball Media Days, holding it down on the ESPN set, talking to these Big 12 teams, including BYU. He is Fran Fraschilla, and he joins us live here on Cougar Sports Saturday with Mitch Harper and Nate Slack. And Fran, hopefully you're having a great weekend. Cannot believe it's basketball season has arrived.
I can't wait, Mitch. It's excited about it, and doing a lot of preparation for the season. I will be watching the game on Monday night, and for Coug fans, I will be in Orlando celebrating Thanksgiving with BYU and probably a sizable number of the fan base.
Oh, that's fantastic. I will be down there as well. That's going to be a lot of fun. So do you already know your schedule for the year as far as BYU games you're going to call, or is that kind of
still to be determined down the road in the heart of the Big 12 schedule?
TBA. We do it month by month. I've got a great early season schedule. I'll see Houston at Auburn. I'll see Arizona at Alabama, Kansas and UConn, BYU down in Orlando. So I've got the first month and a half so far, and I expect to be in Pro Bowl or at least see BYU 4 or 5 times during the regular season. A Big 12 play, I mean.
It's going to be a really fun season, and it's not going to be easy. You know, in the Big 12, you know this better than anyone. It is a gauntlet, but how do you feel the roster that Kevin Young has put together in year 2 stacks up in a Big 12 that might be as good as it's ever been?
Well, I know they got 2 NBA players, so we can start there. But seriously, I think the coaching staff's done a terrific job. Obviously, Richie Saunders coming back is a huge boost. Richie, I think, would have been an NBA player this year. And now I think he has a chance to really help his stock. You add Kata back, who's as physical a player, kind of like the Flory Badunga of BYU, a kid that can have an effect on the game inside. And then, of course, AJ, who I have seen quite a bit and love his game and love the fact that it's not just about, like my analogy with, AJ Devanza is if Kevin Garnett came back as a small forward, it would be AJ Devanza. The intensity, the defense, the will to win is there. And, honestly, not to maybe be long-winded, Mitch, but if AJ has to get 30 for you to win, he'll get 30. If you're up by 30, he's going to get 12 points, 8 rebounds, and 6 assists. So I'm looking forward to him. And, of course, Rob Wright coming over from Baylor is a good start.
Yeah, the roster's loaded. BYU fans are really excited about it. There's obviously some high expectations for BYU. Do you think a Final Four is attainable, or is that something that's maybe not quite realistic yet? Or what do you see the ceiling being for BYU basketball this season?
Well, I'm not a gambler, Nate. I wouldn't go to Vegas and put odds on it. But, they got to the Sweet 16 last year, and this team is probably better, although that team had great chemistry by the end of the year, as you guys know well. So I think this chemistry lab is going to take, much like last year, where Coach Young and the staff and the players had to figure it out probably over the first November, December, and I'd even say January before things clicked. So I think the same thing is true this year. Can they get to a Final Four? Yes, they can. Are the odds of them getting there? Probably not, only in the sense that there's probably 10 teams like BYU that are all in the same boat. And I would say the same thing about every one of them, actually. So, but I would definitely be optimistic. Listen, this is a team that can go far in the tournament. And obviously, as you guys know, luck, injuries, things like that, team chemistry, all will play a part. But I do think if you're a BYU fan, you have to be ecstatic about the way things are shaping up as you come into this season.
How many teams from the Big 12 are on that boat, Fran? Do you think how many in the Big 12 could be Final Four potential good?
Well, I think there's definitely 6 as we start the year that are in the top 25. But I would say teams that I think are in the top 10, let's start there. Big 12 teams in the top 10 right now would be Houston, Arizona, BYU. And Texas Tech, I think, is right there with them. So those 4 teams, I think, are all Final Four capable. And again, Tech was just a couple free throws away from getting to a Final Four last year. Houston got there. BYU, got deep in the tournament. So I think those 4 – and by the way, I think Arizona is a sleeper nationally. I think they're a top 10 team or top – I don't know where they're ranked right now, but I think they're better than the national pundits think. Because they've got a great point guard, a terrific group of freshmen, and then some size up front that's returning.
You kind of touched on it earlier about the just the connection and the camaraderie between BYU. Is that your biggest concern you would have for BYU going into this season, is just being able to be on the same page?
Well, I think, Nate, it's not because of anything, off the court. You know what I mean? Like, well, if these guys are going to like each other, how are they going to play together? I just think college basketball right now, the new normal is every coach really is a junior college coach. You know what I mean? Like every coach is recruiting guys for 1 year, maybe 2. Kevin Young's got great experience at this because he coached in the G League, where you really have a new team every single season, and you're also losing guys and adding guys throughout the year. So I think Kevin is really the kind of guy and with the kind of experience that can put this all together. But when we say chemistry, this is common across college basketball, and I don't have any indication to think that they won't come together and play as a great team. But that takes time. It starts in June and July. Now we're in October, November. And then as we talked about, that the chemistry, I think, of BYU last year really didn't kick in until like midway through the Big 12.
Talk with Fran Fraschilla here on KSL News Radio, the man that I call the voice of the Big 12. You can hear him on ESPN. He does a fantastic job covering college basketball. The best voice, I think, too, on NBA draft, international prospects, and draft prospects in general. A lot of respect for you, Fran, the way you cover this sport. And I'm curious, too, since you know the game as well as anyone, why do you think Kevin Young has worked so well coming from the NBA to college basketball? Because it's not always a smooth transition for guys that are NBA lifers to then come to college and work. But Kevin Young has. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think Mitch, there's a number of reasons. Number one, he's coming in at the right time. He's coming in at an age where the NBA and college basketball, especially at the power conference level, have never been more similar, right? Salaries and things of that nature. NIL is kind of like a salary. I wish we had a salary cap, but we'll probably get to that in the next few years. I think the other thing is NBA coaches, think about it. First of all, Kevin's been a head coach at the G League level, which is great basketball. It's a great learning lab, let's just say. I've got a son now in the NBA, assistant coach, who spent 6 years in the G League, and he tells me all about that. I think the other thing is he's got a great way with players because he's coached the best players in the world. And when you are a part of an NBA season, especially a team that goes to the playoffs, as my great friend Gordy Chiesa has always explained to me, there's 100 games in a season, including the playoffs. There's 200 possessions in a game. You think of all of the basketball coaching that goes involved in that kind of experience, and throw in Kevin's decade-plus of NBA experience, and I think it was a natural fit. And he has BYU ties, and he's familiar with the state. He's familiar with the university. I think it was just a great fit, and I'm not at all surprised that it's gone very, very well so far.
Back to the Big 12 Conference really fast, Fran. They were really public last year about the Big 12 being the best basketball conference in America, and the SEC kind of took that crown last year.
Yep.
With there being, in your opinion, 4 Big 12 teams that could be top 10 good this year, do you think this is the year that the Big 12 can kind of regain that title as being the best conference in America?
Well, it's possible, Nate, but let me give you some historical perspective. And this is easily explainable. The SEC last year, great league, man, 14 teams. It was the perfect storm in their history. Yeah. They've added some really good coaches, but also they had so many fifth-year COVID guys that ended up being All-Americans, Walter Clayton Jr., Janai Broom at Auburn, Mark Sears at Alabama. The Big 12, according to Ken Palm, was the best league in the country in 9 of the previous 11 years. So why did it dip? Very easy. It was not a vintage year at Kansas. You guys have not yet seen the Kansas that we saw for 20 years, and maybe it comes back this year with Darren Peterson. I'm not so sure yet. The voters, the writers think they're the 5th or best team in the league. I think that's about right. And Baylor's been off primarily because they've lost so many players to the NBA. It's almost been, like an embarrassment of riches, and it's hurt them. I think Baylor's a year away from being back to being like a top 15 program. Kansas has had a great recruiting year for next year. I think they'll be great this year, at least very good because of Peterson. But you haven't seen the real Big 12 yet. And thank goodness that Houston, BYU, and Arizona have kind of, are keeping the status of the league at a high level, because when KU, and I throw Iowa State and Texas Tech in there as well, but when KU and Baylor come back on the scene, you will see, I think, what the SEC saw last year and what I've seen for really the better part of 2 decades.
He's Fran Fraschilla. You can check him out on ESPN throughout the college basketball season. We'll see you in Orlando around Thanksgiving, Fran, and appreciate the time on this Saturday afternoon. Thanks again.
Happy to do it, Mitch. We'll see you guys, and we'll see all those great Coug fans in a couple weeks.
That's Fran Fraschilla here on KSL News Radio. Great breakdown of the Big 12 and BYU hoops here on Cougar Sports Saturday, and it's powered by KSL Sports. Welcome back into Cougar Sports Saturday. Mitch Harper, Kyle Ireland with you. We typically hold it down, myself and Kyle, every Saturday here on KSL, noon to 3, talking all things BYU sports here on the legacy home of the Cougars. And Kyle, last week you and I were in the press box at LaVell Edwards Stadium, and we got to witness an impressive performance from Carson Ryan, a career-high night in receiving yards for the former American Fork High standout, UCLA Bruin, Utah Ute, now concluding his college football career at BYU. And I caught up with Carson earlier this week and asked him his thoughts on getting that career-high night against TCU last week.
It's a great feeling. It was such a fun game, having some big plays like that during the game and just, having career-high yards, like you said. It was just a special feeling and a fun game. So it was exciting for everyone, too. Good bounce-back win for us, put up a ton of points. So it was just a great night.
With how big of a role you've had in this offense, has it been validating when you have nights like that says, this was the right move coming to BYU?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I felt coming here this is the place to be, and I wish I had more time here. It's just been a great experience. Off the field, on the field it's been great, but off the field too. Just the coaches I've had here and just the opportunity at the school, it's been great. So I've been loving it. And like I said, nights like that, it's just another reminder for me to just it's the right place where I should be.
What's been the areas of focus this week, coming off a big win? Areas of focus for the Cincinnati week?
Just kind of keep our tempo going. We don't want to come out flat and get comfortable again. We want to keep that fire up that we had last week coming off a loss and just keep it going. We don't want a repeat of last year where we went 2-2 in November. We want to just keep rolling, be at our best this point in the season. So we just want to keep the tempo up, just keep the energy up, and not slow down at all.
I think you said in the radio post game on Saturday night, you want to make a statement, but how much of is it challenging to kind of tune that out and stay focused on the task at hand, but at the same time know what's at stake in all these games that you guys are playing in?
Yeah, we're aware of what's at stake. People have been saying our destiny's in our hands. If we just keep winning, we'll be where we want to be. And so it's important to understand that and know that, and I know the seriousness of the situation. But like you said, it's important just remember it's just a game. It's just football, and we just keep going out and keep playing our game like we have. We'll keep dominating opponents. So we just gotta keep calm and stay level, stay neutral in our mindset. So
what makes this offense so efficient, you think?
Just we have so many weapons and so many ways to attack defenses. With our running backs. In the running game, we have a running quarterback. We got good receivers that can get speed out in space on the jet sweeps and even on counter plays and stuff. And then we also got star running backs back there that can just run the ball for 100 yards. LJ is close to a 1,000-yard season, and he's splitting it with so many different people. Just so many dominant ways we can attack the defense. And not to mention the pass game. Bear's been such an elite pass, especially the second half of this season once we finally got him rolling a little more, letting him throw the ball out there. And so it's just so easy to be successful when you can be so versatile as an offense and just be able to do so many different things.
In that, when you talk about being able to do so many different things, even last week we saw a new tight end added to the group. Osler gets added to the tight end group with the beef package. How fun is that to be part of an offense where there's always that possibility of some new wrinkles possibly being thrown in a game?
No, it's fun. It just means you're doing a new thing every week, and it gives you, especially as a tight end, it gives you so many opportunities to do different things in the offense, and that's what I love about being a tight end, especially here. You get the opportunity to go out and block in line, go block in space, catch the ball and make some moves on space. Just so many different things you can do, and it just makes the game more fun, especially tight end. That's why I love tight end so much. You just get to do so many different things, and it's the best of both worlds. You get to be a dominant lineman and a good receiver too. So,
what would you say about the rest of the tight end unit? I think you get the headlines primarily because you're receiving the ball, but when you talk about the blocking, there's some really good blockers in this tight end group that maybe sometimes their impact goes unnoticed. What could you say about some of your tight end teammates?
Oh no, we got a really good tight end room. Like you said, blocking goes unnoticed a lot. And when a tight end doesn't necessarily have all the catches in a game, people kind of overlook it, but you don't notice it. Just even being in pass pro or out lead blocking for the running back or the receiver. Last game, my big catch that I had, it wouldn't have happened if Keen didn't lock up the defensive end on that play and just one-on-one a tight end on a DN who's like 10, 20 pounds heavier than him. Like, I just not really seen him very much. And just elite level blocking from him, from Noah, just like tons of different. It just adds so much to the offense. Like I said, like not having to bring a tackle or running back out to help him just gives you so many opportunities to protect.
How much are you enjoying these, I don't want to say final games because there's a lot of football left to be played, but just your senior season and every step that goes along this way?
I mean, it just makes you appreciate every moment. Like you said, it's my senior year, and, you know, football may come to an end. Hopefully it does. Hopefully I get another chance to keep my career going. But, you know, it just makes you enjoy every moment, especially with your brothers. Like, you know, there's not going to be anything like college football in your life ever again. Like, it's special, and it's just, you know, cherishing every moment with your friends. Like, some of your best friends, and I made so many close friends here in my time here, and just guys from high school I've known too. It's just makes you cherish it and makes you appreciate it a little more. And especially now it's coming to a close. Like, think about it, like, got a guaranteed 2-3 weeks of football left. You know, we got a bowl game, so a bowl game for sure, so that's confirmed. But, like, you know, it's coming to an end, so you just got to take every moment like it's your last and just play hard.
And I wanted the last few moments here with Carson. Wanted to ask too, going on these road games, I always see your family too. Just what does that mean to have that family support? Because it takes a lot to get to these spots as a player. Having that family support, what does that mean to you?
I mean, it means so much. My parents, they come to every game, every away game. They make it a priority. And my fiance, she's almost at every game, even with all her schooling and stuff going on. Like, just having the support from them, and, you know, seeing them at every game, and just being able to come and talk to them, give them a hug after every game. You know, it's something special, and just knowing that they're always in my corner, and they always got my back, and I always got theirs. So it's just, you know, you can never replace family.
And that's tight end Carson Ryan for your BYU Cougars. And let's take a break on Cougar Sports Saturday here on KSL News.
It's Cougar Sports Saturday.
That's caught! Touchdown! Stayed inside the boundary and gets in for 6.
Cougar Sports Saturday, a presentation of KSL Sports.
Richie right to the rim, driving score! He would not be denied!
BYU Sports Talk by Cougar fans for Cougar fans. Sponsored by Any Hour Services, electrical, plumbing, heating, and air. Your hosts are Mitch Harper and Kyle Ireland. On Utah's legacy home of the Cougars, KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
Cougar Sports Saturday rolls on. Hard to believe. Feels like just yesterday it was BYU Portland State. That was 3 months ago, and man, these seasons go by in the blink of an eye. Mitch Harper and Kyle Ireland with you. We host Cougar Sports Saturday every week here on KSL News Radio, noon to 3, here on the legacy home of the Cougars. One of the traits of this BYU football team, when you think historically BYU football, you think of the passing game and the high-powered passing offenses. And look, BYU can throw the rock with Bear Bachmar. There's no doubt about that. But to BYU's core, to their identity, it's running the football. BYU this season averaging 201.5 yards per game on the ground. And the man that leads that ground attack is L.J. Martin, the defending Big 12 Offensive Player of the Week, who had a career-high 222 rushing yards a week ago in the win at Cincinnati. Here's my conversation with L.J. Martin from earlier this week at practice. L.J., how you feeling after that great performance, that career-high performance after Cincinnati?
Well, I'm feeling pretty good, just a little bit sore from all the carries, but I'm feeling good overall.
How fun was that to just get that huge workload, 32 carries against a really good team in Cincinnati on the road, and to, you know, lean on your offensive line to help you get to that number, but just to win a game on the ground?
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of fun, you know, just being able to touch the ball that many times. I mean, that's, I would say, anywhere in the base dream. So it was a lot of fun.
When you have games like that, you know, do you kind of reflect back on all the work you put in, you know, in winter conditioning and spring ball to get to those moments? Like, is all those little workouts where no one's watching, it's for moments like that, you think?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is. It's cool to go out there and put up a performance like that, but, you know, it just goes back to the hard work I put in. So just going into this week, I mean, nothing changes. You know, I'm still going to put in the same amount of work because, you know, you got to go out there and repeat it again.
What's the areas of focus this week against UCF's defense?
Just being physical again. I mean, just going out there, they can be a really good defense. They're fast, physical, you know, but we just got to be tough too and just go out there and play football at the end of the day.
How much of the messaging from Kalani and Coach Roderick
is letting the team know about, this UCF team is in a similar spot that BYU was in 2 years ago, where they're trying to get one more win to get to the postseason. The opponent, BYU in this case, but Oklahoma State 2 years ago, they were just win and they go to the Big 12 title. And that was a dogfight. That was an overtime game. Just how much is maybe that messaging of like, hey, don't take these guys lightly?
Yeah, they mentioned that a lot. We know that they're in a very similar position. I mean, pretty much the same position, and they're gonna be hungry. They're gonna come out, give us their all, and with that, we got to go out there and give them our all. We can't look past them. We can't just go out there and think they're gonna give it to us. They're gonna try to do whatever they can to stop us to get that win, and we got to be able to do the same.
It was pretty cool at Nippert Stadium on Saturday. I saw you like embracing the fans, like many of the players on your guys' team. But then after, I saw you talking with Isaiah Jada, and I think sometimes these big rushing performances, fans forget to give praise to the offensive line. How appreciative are you, or maybe thankful, since that's the buzzword this week? How thankful are you to have an offensive line like guys like Isaiah Jada and Bruce Mitchell opening up holes for you to get those big games?
Yeah, I'm very grateful. I mean, without them, the play doesn't get started. And that's for every play. So, just for them to be out there, they're the most unselfish group on the field. They won't do anything that'll make them record a stat, but I mean, they're the key of every play. So, for them to be out there and just doing that for me, and they're just really unselfish and just get things going. So, I just love being around them.
And how rewarding has it been to, continue to that relationship, have that blossom with Bear Bachmeier, the quarterback, who's the second leading rusher behind you on this team? What can you say about Bear and what he means to this team?
Yeah, I mean, he means a lot. Tough kid. You saw that in the game on Saturday, and he's doing whatever it takes to win. So we just have a lot of respect for him, and we're really proud of how he's played so far.
How optimistic or confident are you that you and this group are tuning out the playoff noise and what maybe lies ahead, and just trying to go 1-0 this week against a UCF team that's been competitive in many games this year?
Yeah, just knowing that nothing's given to us yet. We haven't earned anything. We gotta win every game from here on out, and to be able to play another one. So it starts this week, and it's going to keep on going. And but it starts this week, so we got to give this game our all, and then we'll see how the rest goes.
Galani was very complimentary of you earlier this week about how, people on the outside are talking about you, maybe being an NFL guy, but you're not really focusing too much on that. I mean, is that something that's creeping in to your mind at all? Do you talk with the coaches about where your future stands after this season? How do you approach it? Are you just not letting that really kind of capture any of your attention right now?
No, I'm just trying to stay in the moment. It's been fun playing with these guys, so I'm just trying to enjoy the moment. Every opportunity I get, I'm just trying to enjoy it, and just spend the best of my time here, and just we'll see at the end of the season how things go and where I'll be. But for now, I'm focused right now on playing football against UCF.
And how much do you enjoy, though, playing at home? It feels like this season, it's been weird how you guys primarily have lived on the road, it seems like, at least because those two games were so early in the year at home. And then, I mean, you guys pretty much put in work on the road. How much do you enjoy these home spots, even though this one's a morning game, being in front of the home crowd again to close out the regular season?
I mean, it's awesome. It's always great whenever you get to play at home in front of the fans, your peers. So it's just really cool to be able to have your support staff out there, your supporters out there, and just being at home. Yeah, nothing like you.
Last couple of things for you, LJ, and appreciate the time. Where do you feel like have been the biggest areas of focus in your growth as a player over the course of this season? Even it feels like just you've continued to improve throughout this year. What do you attribute to that as areas of focus that have been catalysts for this improvement?
I would just say it's everything, just taking a step back last year at the end of the last season and just watching and just seeing what I can improve on. And there's a lot of stuff I could improve on, but I would say it's really just pass pro and playing without the ball. I feel like I could improve on that a lot. So I feel like I really try to work on that, and I've seen it work out pretty good this year.
And do you think it also ties into just your knowledge of the offense? Kalani's noted that, this offense inside and out. Do you agree with that sentiment and just your comfort of what this offense expects of you from Aaron Roderick?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I know it pretty well right now, and it's just easy to just go out there and do what I need to, and it just allows me to play free and just go have fun.
And that's junior running back LJ Martin. I hope that this is not his last home game in Provo for selfish reasons, Kyle. I hope that LJ is running it back next season, but I could also understand that if LJ says, you know what, I've put the best film I possibly can, I'm going to go to the NFL after this year. I think he has to entertain that thought.
Yeah, I think that one of the things that was fun this last week was you've got Todd McShay, one of the biggest NFL draft experts out there, saying that LJ is a top 5 running back in the NFL draft class if he decides to go. Like, that's hard and tempting to walk away from. Granted, we're in a different era of NIL and so on, but LJ has put himself in a position where he's an NFL caliber running back. He's put in a lot of work. I've been impressed with his ability to battle through injuries this season, Mitch, because injuries have taken him out of, chunks of seasons his last 2 years at BYU. And so I think that just his body of work as a whole has been so impressive this year. It's been fun to see what he's been able to do as far as, crossing the 1,000-yard mark against Cincinnati, that career high performance. And then it was just fun to see him get in the end zone a couple of times there against Cincinnati as well, Mitch, because I feel like it's just one of those things where we've talked so much this season about how BYU is going to go as far as LJ Martin takes them, and a lot rides on what he's able to do game to game. And obviously, he's been outstanding for the most part. The Iowa State game where he gets banged up and the Texas Tech game aren't his bright moments of the season, but the way he bounced back against TCU and then against Cincinnati were so impressive. And then to be able to have touchdowns in both of those games and then a multi-touchdown game against the Bearcats last week, I think that BYU's been able to utilize LJ Martin in every way that they've wanted to this season, to be able to lean on him with a true freshman quarterback, to have such a strong run game has been so beneficial for BYU. When BYU's had special seasons, especially in recent decades, it's because they have an amazing running back who's been able to help, shoulder that offensive burden, and LJ's lived up to the billing.
LJ this season, 1,134 yards, 8 touchdowns. He's averaging 5.8 yards per carry on his 195 carries. He is a special player. Maybe a little bit of comparisons to Tyler Algier. I don't know how you put them in the hierarchy. Who's better? I don't even want to entertain that thought right now because LJ still has so much more to accomplish, but he is a special player for BYU. Mitch Harper, Kyle Ireland with you here on KSL News Radio.
Welcome back into Cougar Sports Saturday, powered by KSLSports.com.
Former Texas transfer Tausilia Kana, a heralded 4-star recruit out of high school at Skyridge High School, was a guy that was making an impact in spring ball and fall camp, but still learning the ropes of Jay Hill's defense. Well, now his time has arrived as he is surging in his BYU career. First season with the Cougars. I caught up with redshirt sophomore Tausilia Kana earlier this week to talk about recent success in BYU's defense.
Tausilia, how did it feel to have that performance that you did this past week against TCU?
It felt good just being out there with the team and the boys and just executing and trusting our coaches.
Do you think that was the best performance you've had since you got here to BYU?
Yes, most definitely.
What do you think's worked so well in recent weeks as your snap counts are increasing and now you're having a greater impact on the defense? What's caused that change?
I'd pretty much just say stacking the days and just taking it day by day, but also just like what I said kind of before is just like trusting the coaches and falling in line with what they have for us.
When you were coming out of the portal, how much of that trust in the coaches played a role in you coming to BYU from Texas?
It played a big part. Jay Hill and Coach Papingo were coaching me since, or not coaching me, but recruiting me since the start. So, I already had a kind of idea of where I wanted to come, and just that trust that we had, that bond,
When you say since the start, was that dating back to your high school time when they were recruiting you too? Can you
yes, sir.
Take us through your connections that you had to this BYU staff even when you were a high school player?
Oh, yes, sir. Pop, he was, he recruited me since Boise and Virginia. So, I kind of had a bond with him already. So, it was good that he was already here in Utah, a.k.a. home for me. So, yep.
What's been your experience so far here at BYU? First year, you arrived in the winter semester to now. How's it been going?
I'm loving it. The culture here and it's just the boys, really just like a big family vibe. So I'm loving it here.
Was it difficult when you left Texas? Was that a challenging deal because coming out of Skyridge, heralded recruit, was it difficult to go into the portal and get a change of scenery?
Most definitely. Not everybody wants to leave a place that you started off and, built bonds over there. So, but it was hard. But, I know coming back here, I got family here, got all the boys out here that I know. So I felt comfortable with the decision.
And so who were some of those relationships beyond the coaches that you made you feel comfortable about this move?
Most definitely my cousin Jaren Kalama, and then you got like Raider Damuni, Ace Kafusi, just all the guys from back home in Hawaii, Laia. So we all grew up together. So, they were all texting me too, like, hey, time to come home, come ball with us. So,
what's been the most enjoyable aspect of being part of this culture that Kalani's built here at BYU?
Probably just the aspects of just love and learn, just loving one another and learning and step day by day and just taking it all in.
When you feel like you're at your best as a player, how would you describe that to someone who's still kind of getting familiar with your game?
Probably say relentless. Yeah. Just going to the ball as fast as I can, trying to make a play.
And how great was that feeling to have those moments last week against TCU?
Felt great. I felt like I'm finally becoming the person I'm supposed to be and being disruptive in the backfield. So, yes, sir.
How challenging is it to learn Jay Hill's defense?
It's definitely challenging, new to me, but I'm loving it because, it's also going to get us ready for the next level or what we have ahead.
And coming up ahead is Cincinnati. Your thoughts on their offense? What stands out to you with the Bearcats?
Definitely the QB, the running backs, they're very dynamic, very good. QB's good. He got some good reads, so the O-line's pretty good, so hopefully we can get some pass rush in there and disrupt them.
How much do you enjoy these road trips? 2 time zones, so that means a little bit earlier where you guys leave on a Thursday. How much do you enjoy that?
It's enjoyable, but, kind of difficult at the same time. You got to adjust everything, your sleep and everything, but it's fun, though. Hey, just being out with the boys and stuff there to Thursday, so.
Who's your roommate on the road?
On the road is Kenny Lau.
Oh, cool. So Kenny Lau's another guy that's making an impact, too. And there's a lot of young, talented, along with yourself, Kenny Lau, a lot of young, talented defensive ends in this group. Can maybe just speak to some of those guys that are really progressing over the course of the season?
Yes, sir. Just me and Kenny, when we're in our room, we always, just look at each other and be like, hey, it's time to watch some film or just call out some stuff while we're watching film. So it's good to have him as a roommate and just have him on the mental side.
How, just last couple things here for you, Tausili, excited is this team to have everything in front of this group that you guys maybe set out to achieve this season? Still a lot of football left to be played, but just how excited are you guys to be in these big stages every single week?
It's very exciting, but like I said, we're stacking days, taking it week by week. So, yes, sir.
And that's BYU defensive end Tausili Akana here on Cougar Sports Saturday as we count down to BYU and Cincinnati. Kyle, your thoughts on the impact that Akana provided last week and maybe the outlook on him going forward in the future, because he's still got 2 years ahead in his college football career.
Yeah, I like the fact that he has made such an impact at key moments for this BYU defense this season, coming up with big stops and being able to shut down, runs. He's been able to get to the quarterback, cause some havoc, some hurries, force some interceptions. It's been big for Jay Hill's defense, and I like the fact that he's still coming on, and it's not like he's, in his last year with the program and, he's going to be done here in the next month. It's going to be, fun to see him continue to grow in this system with Jay Hill. And I think that today, Mitch, it's a balanced attack from Cincinnati that BYU's defense is going to have to stop, because 24 touchdowns through the air, 19 on the ground, a pretty similar ratio as far as, passing to rushing, nearly 2,000 yards on the ground and, just over 2,300 yards through the air this season for the Bearcats. And so they're pretty efficient on both sides of their offense there. And Tausili and the rest of that front seven is going to have to be able to stop Sorsby. They're going to have to stop Walker. They're going to have to stop Evan Pryor, who's back from injury. They're going to have to be able to limit this Bearcat offense. I do think that the one thing that has been really effective for BYU this season and Jay Hill is whenever they've been able to make the opposing offense one-dimensional, Mitch, they found great success. And so whether that's shutting down the passing attack and just locking in on the run or vice versa, if BYU is able to do that today, they're going to find success.
Yeah, BYU is trending up, I think, again defensively after that great performance against TCU. And honestly, I thought they showed well in stretches against Texas Tech. It was just the offense was a complete no-show, and so was the special teams. The defense couldn't carry the day completely, but I would not ever bet against a Jay Hill defense in preparing for a big game. These guys will show up, and it's nice to know that Tausili is factoring into that mix, because when you talk about first step, athleticism, speed, he is an elite pass rusher. Now he's understanding the nuances of Jay Hill's defense. Bright future ahead for Tausili. Let's take a break here on KSL News Radio.
It's Cougar Sports Saturday.
That's caught! Touchdown! Stayed inside the boundary and gets in for 6.
Cougar Sports Saturday, a presentation of KSL Sports.
Richie right to the rim, driving score! He would not be denied!
BYU Sports Talk by Cougar fans for Cougar fans. Sponsored by Any Hour Services, electrical, plumbing, heating, and air. Your hosts are Mitch Harper and Kyle Ireland. On Utah's legacy home of the Cougars, KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
Hope all of you are having a fantastic Saturday. Hopefully all your Christmas shopping's done. There's only one Saturday left until BYU football is back on the gridiron. The Cougars are going to take on the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Kickoff from Orlando, 1:30 p.m. on December 27th. We will have extended pregame coverage beginning at 10 a.m. on game day for the Cougs and the Yellow Jackets. Mitch Harper and Nate Slack with you, who's filling in for Kyle Ireland today. BYU loses last week to Texas Tech in really what was an ugly game, Nate. It was 34-7. I do agree with Kalani that I felt like the game was a little more competitive in the first half and had a little more physical feel from BYU than what they showed in Lubbock, but still the final outcome was the same, and Texas Tech pulled away. So BYU misses the playoff. The playoff committee hosed BYU, and I'll still stand by that. I think the playoff committee was a joke, and sometimes you could say they're a straw man, but I think that they need to be brought down. That committee needs to be done. I'm sick and tired of a committee deciding who's in and who's not. I think it's all a sham, and it's just entertainment purposes for a sport that has so much money invested. It's frustrating how they go about their business. But anyway, BYU's business will continue in the Pop-Tarts Bowl against number 22 Georgia Tech, who has a star quarterback in Haynes King, who finished 10th in Heisman voting this season, and that speaks to his talent. Your thoughts on BYU landing in the Pop-Tarts Bowl and ultimately getting Georgia Tech as an opponent, because there was a lot of other options, it felt like.
Yeah, I'm cool with playing in the Pop-Tarts Bowl. I think that's going to be fun. I think back to the days when BYU played in the Las Vegas Bowl, what felt like every single season. So yeah. I'm okay with BYU not going back to the Alamo Bowl. I know it's a little bit of a bigger payout, but I don't see that money, so I don't really care what the payout is.
I appreciate you saying that, because like you, I don't like when fans just say, well, the payout's bigger.
It's like, who cares?
It's one thing. It'd be fun if we could actually see how it's utilized if BYU was a public school, where we could see, oh, that money went to this. No, when BYU gets that money, it's gone. We have no idea how it's getting used.
So they're going to be in the Pop-Tarts Bowl. They're playing Georgia Tech. And when it started to come out that BYU is going to be in the Pop-Tarts Bowl, but likely playing Notre Dame, I was all on board.
Yes.
I just kept getting flashbacks to last year playing Colorado, and I was like, man, this is awesome, because it's two teams that felt like they were slept on, they were disrespected. It's going to be an awesome game. And so I was getting the same vibes with the Notre Dame game, thinking BYU could be possibly playing another Heisman winner in Jeremiah Love. I was so excited. And then the news comes down that they're not going to play in the game. And then that's when I started to get this feeling in my stomach when I still don't feel great about this bowl game, just because it's kind of a backup plan to who they were supposed to play. They're playing Georgia Tech, they were a good team. They spent a lot of the season inside the top 10. And so this is a game where BYU's got to go in and they've got to be dialed in and motivated. Otherwise, it could be kind of like a UAB game in 2021 where they just don't go in with the right mindset and then they get beat. So I don't want that to happen because I think that puts a damper on this entire season, which 11-1 in the Big 12, this is what BYU fans have been dreaming about for decades. And to have it come crumbling down and lose by 30 in your Big 12 championship game and then lose in the bowl game, I feel like would put a big damper on the season. But I'm optimistic that things can go well for BYU, but I do have my doubts.
Great commentary. Here's BYU head coach Kalani Sitake on his thoughts playing the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets in the Pop-Tarts Bowl.
So it's going to be a lot of fun and looking forward to the matchup. Georgia Tech, I see a lot of things in their program that's very similar to ours. I know that they are tough and they play really hard and they're not afraid to run their quarterback as well. Well-balanced team, I think well-coached, and you look at what they do fundamentally well. It's everything. And so I'm looking forward to the matchup, and we know it's going to require us being at our best, and just looking forward to the opportunity to play again with these seniors and to play again as a team and to do it in a wonderful setting. I think it'll be warmer there than it is here in Provo, Utah, so we'll be excited for that during the holidays, and just looking forward to all of it, all the festivities and everything that goes into a bowl game. And we know that Pop-Tarts Bowl does it the right way, and we're really excited about the matchup and excited to play again as a team. So
it's, Kalani's going to always be positive. And you know what? Kalani's the ultimate football guy. It doesn't matter what the opportunity is. He's going to be excited for it because, look, I always do get kind of floored by the whole opt-out thing of bowls. But when you do size it up, you kind of wonder, Nate, should BYU have done the same thing as Notre Dame and just said, you know what? I'm sick and tired of this committee. You know what? We're not going to play in this meaningless bowl game. Let me say, shouldn't say meaningless because every game matters, but we're not going to play in a game where we belonged in the playoff. You know what? We're opting out. We don't care about that fine. We'll pay the $500,000 fine to the Big 12. We're sitting out too because I'll tell you what, man, I would have rather had that outcome than go down to Orlando and this team lays an egg because I'm like you. I'm a little leery because last year, it just felt like BYU was going to be motivated. Whether they won or not, that was up in the air. But I think that you knew that they were going to be highly motivated to go show something. Coming out of Arlington, I'll admit, Nate, I kind of felt like the season died a little bit. Like the season was done after that Big 12 championship, and I'm really curious to see how this team responds. I'm confident that Chase Roberts, guys like Tanner Wall, they're going to give it their best. It's their last game as BYU Cougars, and for that, you want to send those type of guys out on a high note, but at the same time, human element comes into play. It's the Christmas season. You're going to miss Christmas. I'm really curious. So this is a spot where I could see BYU not being as motivated as we've seen in years past.
Yeah, me too. And I am glad they are playing the game just because people were just slamming Notre Dame for not playing the game. And I know I just talked about how I don't care about the payout. But if BYU were to say, oh, we're not going to play this game and we're going to not take that payout, we're going to accept a $500,000 fine from the Big 12 Conference, but please join the Cougar Club. Pay to Royal Blue Collective. Make sure you're paying our players money. And so if BYU's not accepting the money and they're paying fines and then they turn around and they start asking fans for more money, I would have been annoyed.
That's fair.
So in that sense, I'm glad they're playing the game, but I don't know. I'm nervous that they're not going to show up.
Well, and I think Georgia Tech's a good team, and like BYU, I thought got a little bit disrespected throughout this season by the playoff committee. They lost one game initially to NC State, and they plummeted down the rankings. They got down to 16, and they were just completely out of sight and out of mind when they only had one loss. And then their last game of the regular season, they went a full 60 minutes with Georgia. I know it's a rival, but again, that was 16-9. Georgia Tech's got enough talent to beat this BYU team. There's no doubt in my mind. And BYU's the favorite, and I think BYU's the better team. But Haynes King is awesome. And, when Jay Hill talks earlier this week about how Georgia Tech's kind of similar to West Virginia and Utah, my mind kind of wanders and goes, okay, those two offenses had really good running quarterbacks, and BYU didn't do a great job stopping that ground attack with the QB. So that could be a little bit problematic, and if you're not fully motivated for this game and you got your mind wandering in other places, that could end poorly. So this is going to be an ultimate test for this BYU team to really challenge I don't want to say the culture of the program, but just, hey,
stay hungry, stay humble. That's a big calling card in Kalani's program. Stay hungry and remain humble about it, because it could be easy take a page from what I'm saying, say, hey, the playoff committee screwed us. They hosed us. Stay humble still and stay the course. Let's talk more about BYU, Georgia Tech around the corner here on Cougar Sports Saturday. Welcome back into Cougar Sports Saturday. A guy that's, like many on this BYU team, looking to bounce back with a better performance this week. It's wide receiver JoJo Phillips. It was great to see JoJo back on the field, but even he admits it was a tough spot in Lubbock. And this is my conversation earlier in the week with redshirt sophomore wide receiver JoJo Phillips.
Parker kind of stole my question. What he asked you, just here we had a moment, just for people that didn't see it, we had a moment where Parker was asking you with the mic how it felt to be back. Just revisit that. How did it feel to get back and to be back on the field?
It was really good. Obviously not the result that we wanted and not the result how I wanted to come out there and perform, but it's okay though. We're going to get back, regroup as a team and everything, and push our best effort forward for TCU and the rest of the season. But it was just fun to just getting back out there, my guys, and being on the field, traveling, and just suiting back up and doing all of that because, I was at home for the past 9 weeks not being able to suit up or anything. So,
well, when you talk about that Texas Tech game, what was the most for the offense, just the most frustrating part of that game?
It obviously be us just not really executing to the full potential like we've been doing, and just not being able to move the ball and just get on the scoreboard, I felt like. But we learn from film. We know what we messed up on. We know the things we need to fix, and it's going to be better, and we're going to just keep going the rest of the season. So.
When you brought it up, when probably didn't like how the way you played or for that game, when there is moments where it maybe wasn't the greatest performance for the whole offense, how do the coaches respond to you guys in practice moving forward? Is it more strict or is it the same approach they've always taken the whole season?
It's just really the same approach. Kalani talked to us on Monday, and he was just telling us the one word that really stuck out to me is just urgency. So just urgency the whole week, just breaking the huddle, just our practice tempo, getting in and out of the huddle. If we're running off the field, getting to the sideline, just urgency. Everything just play with urgency and all that. So
when you left with due to an injury back at the Stanford game, what were you dealing with that caused you to be out, and how was the build up to get back to the field?
So I broke my left collarbone, snapped in half, so I had to get surgery and everything. And then just once I found out I had to get surgery, it was kind of down because I was expecting this season to be a good season for me and everything. And then, but yeah, just once I had my surgery and everything, I just knew it was time to just get better at other aspects in life and everything, and to help my team, just find other ways to help my team get better and still help and still be out here and be involved in everything. So, but just the past, the first 2 weeks, it was really boring because I was just sitting down, couldn't really do nothing, couldn't move my arm or anything. But after we got past that time, everything was better. I was able to start lifting again, start just getting back out here with my teammates and all of that. So.
How did you stay engaged with the offense and just everything that's going on with this team? What did you do when you were away to make sure that when your time would be arrive again, that you were ready?
I didn't miss no time. After my surgery, I came out here the next day to practice actually, and I was still fresh out of surgery. Came out here the next day because I just wanted to be out here still around and let them know I still have their back and everything since I'm out. But it was just really just having a script in my hands during practice every day, just still knowing the plays, being engaged with the plays and everything, and just showing up to film and meetings every day and still being engaged and still knowing what we're doing, so that when I do come back, I'm still I still know everything that we're doing, and just still on top of my plays and everything.
This week, you guys are looking to bounce back to get ready for TCU. What's kind of the demeanor of this offense this week? Are you guys taking Kalani's words to heart with the urgency?
Yes, we are for sure. And just going out there and dominating our plays and executing to the full ability like we're used to and everything, and just the way they were doing before I came back and everything. So that's basically it, just executing and just fixing the mistakes we made last week and not making those mistakes anymore down the road.
What's been your thoughts of Bear when you were watching him on the sidelines, while you were recovering from the injury, and also just his demeanor this week bouncing back from a loss?
Well, just watching Bear, just always see that he's poised and he never gives anything. He never gets too high or too low. So I just seen that from him during that game also. Even though we were down, he would still have poise. Every time he came into the huddle, it was, let's go, guys, just giving us words of encouragement, keeping us up and everything. So, yeah, I just see the same thing from him, just poised Bear, never getting too high or low.
Your thoughts on TCU's defense?
It's a pretty good defense. I was here in 23 when we played them, so it's a lot of similarity kind of from that year. But they have a good defense. They have a lot of good players all around, so it'll be a fun matchup and everything. A good game to bounce back from Texas Tech and everything.
I'm curious too, JoJo, what gives you confidence that this team will bounce back? Because last year you guys had a loss and it snowballed into two, and you were part of that team. What gives you confidence this year will be different?
Because we already been through the things. We went through it last year, and that's just something that we just been really on top of not trying to let that happen again, not letting the snowball effect happen again. So just I know we took an L, but we can't let that affect us. We can't let the L beat us in the next game too, like we did last year. We kind of let our L at Kansas kind of roll into the Arizona State game and beat us too. So,
last thing for you, Joe, just been 2 months since you played a home game. How excited are you for Saturday?
I'm really happy. I can't wait to get back out there in front of Les, in front of the Rock, in front of our fans. It's been a long time. It's been a long 9 weeks, going on 10 weeks now since I've been in front of our home crowd and everything. So I've just been missing. I'm very happy and just very blessed that I get to come back and play and be healthy and stuff again.
And that's BYU wide receiver JoJo Phillips. We're taking a break here on Cougar Sports Saturday.
It's Cougar Sports Saturday.
That's caught! Touchdown! Stayed inside the boundary and gets in for 6.
Cougar Sports Saturday, a presentation of KSL Sports.
Richie right to the rim, driving score! He would not be denied!
BYU Sports Talk by Cougar fans for Cougar fans. Sponsored by Any Hour Services, electrical, plumbing, heating, and air. Your hosts are Mitch Harper and Kyle Ireland. On Utah's legacy home of the Cougars, KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
BYU football is back to practicing after a little bit of a break earlier this week on the heels of the loss in the Big 12 championship game. The Cougars are preparing now for the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. And Mitch Harper, Nate Slack here with you on Cougar Sports Saturday on this Saturday afternoon. And 2 weeks from today, BYU will take on those Yellow Jackets. Kickoff at 1:30 here on KSL. And earlier this week, on the first day of practice, I had the chance to catch up with BYU passing game coordinator Fesi Sitake to talk about that bowl prep, his favorite Pop-Tarts, and also Kalani Sitake's long-term extension. It's my conversation with Fesi Sitake.
Lighthearted question to start off, Coach. Favorite Pop-Tart?
Strawberry all day. I don't even think it's close. There's a strawberry, and then there's a huge gap in a bunch of others. So
this bowl game prides itself on being a people's national champion. Is this team going to be motivated, you think? You're confident this offense is going to become motivated after a tough loss in the Big 12 championship to go out and get that 12th win?
Yeah, I think so, for sure. It's I think enough time has passed where we're, obviously we didn't get what we were hoping, but these guys have turned that around quickly and they're really hungry and for a lot of reasons, not just because they feel maybe we got snubbed, but it's a game to go 12 wins, which hasn't happened. I think it's only been 3 times in the history, and then also to send the seniors out on the right note. There's a lot of factors that make these guys really motivated, so I'm confident they'll be ready.
How would you summarize these past 2.5 weeks? There's a signing day, your brother gets a long-term extension, there was a Big 12 championship, now it's a bowl prep. How would you describe all this?
Really emotional. It was an emotional roller coaster, and there was a lot of good that came from it, and there were a lot of things to learn from it. And you can never count out that the same kind of events could happen. So it's a good reference point for a lot of coaches and players, that when distractions happen or breaking news of something, how can you stay level-headed and focus on the task at hand? And so I thought there were a lot of good that came from it, as emotional as it was, and some things to learn. But all in all, we're glad the dust has kind of settled with everything, and it makes us that much more ready for this game.
From your perspective, being so close to Kalani, being his brother, you brought up the emotions. Like, what was that like to know that Kalani's going through a tough decision and maybe know what's next? Like, what was that like from your vantage point?
Yeah, it was pretty surreal, man. I tweeted something out after when the extension happened that he is BYU. And so for me to see Kalani anywhere else was just a really surreal feeling. Like, I was like, I don't know if that can happen. And so for it to be so close, for it to happening it was a shocker, And so I'm just glad that everything happened the way it was supposed to and things got sorted out. But man, I was having a hard time just thinking of him in a different kind of environment and atmosphere other than BYU. And so I'm glad I don't have to follow that thought through.
The nice thing is with Kalani, and it's better than anyone, he's so giving of his time and his intentions for everything. Everything has a purpose to level up BYU football, his coaching staff. What does this do for you? I know you probably can't get into the specifics, but what does this do for security for this coaching staff now that Kalani's locked in?
Yeah, I think a lot of us, obviously security is a natural byproduct, and people have stepped up financially for players and coaches, and all it's out there, and I think everyone could have read between the lines that was going to happen. I just think a bigger piece is just on a national scale with Cougar Nation, with our players realizing that BYU can and will compete at the highest level. There's always been a thought around there of the resources are there and they have the support and all that, but there was always just this this lack of a breakthrough. And so I think that was definitely one of the silver linings of just the chaos and the worry and where Kalani was and all that, was just that BYU stepped up in a way that proves that they're willing to compete. And we're, as coaches, I know I speak for players, just really grateful for the people who made that decision and who stepped up and said, no, let's do this, and let's not give a reason of maybe why we're not able to break through. And so excited to see what the future holds with that.
And this is an exciting time of the calendar where it's unique when you bring up the future. It feels like there's a little bit of a look maybe to 2026, but also at the same time you want to take care of these seniors. It's a bit of a bridge. How do you as a coaching staff approach these bowl preps where you're knowing that winter conditioning is just around the corner in 2026, but at the same time you got to finish this season off on the high note?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, man. And we know we share a lot of questions / frustrations with coaching staffs and other programs around the country. It's just the way things fall. I know a lot of coaches have been vocal about that. It does make some stuff really challenging, but at the same time we have to accept that other people have those same challenges, and depending where your bowl lands and where you're at in the postseason, there's some factors that maybe make it even a little bit more difficult. But yeah, with the portal window opening up soon, with signing day happening, with coaching changes and turnover, it's just this never-ending cycle of holy cow, you got to be ready on all fronts while still preparing for a game you have to play for. And so we've been getting good practice at that. I think every year brings on some new challenges, but yeah, it's something that I hope will change down the road, where the calendar just makes a lot more sense for all programs. And I know it will never be perfect, much like the playoff system is right now, but there are still things that I think can make it a little more efficient.
For the players that have already kind of made it publicly, the receivers that they're going into the portal coming up in January, will you let them stay part of the team right now, or are they kind of done now with guys like Don McKenzie and LeMason Waller?
Yeah, we've given them the option. They're a part of this team, and both have elected to kind of just get their ducks lined up, for whatever that next destination is. So we love them. We definitely gave them the invitation to come join us, and even though they both declined, we're both we love them both and are excited for whatever their next chapter is.
And along those same lines, do you feel like you got a good sense of where your receiver unit is for next year, the guys that have remaining eligibility, what their intentions are going forward with practice getting back fired up again?
Yeah, for sure. And a lot will be determined, especially after the bowl game. There's about about a week until the portal window officially opens, and that will be open for 2 weeks. And so with some of these other guys, there's going to be a lot of conversation, and it will be open dialogue. I'm going to give feedback, honest feedback, to where I see guys after this season and projecting them in the next season with new guys coming in. Us potentially going to the portal, new freshmen coming in. And so there's real conversations that are going to be had. But the players also know this is a chance for them to be very open as well. And we want everyone to be in the best case scenario for them. And so there very well could be some other stuff coming up in the pipeline. But until then, I think we've gotten those guys who announced. The rest is we're going to go through with the bowl game, and after that we'll kind of see how the roster starts to shake up.
A few more moments here with Fesi Sitake, and a guy that's really leveled up, I think, this season. And you and both Coach Roderick were hinting at this, I think, to us in the media, but like Parker Kingston stepped up to where maybe he could be a number one guy next year, and he was great, I thought, in the Big 12 championship in the season. What do you think has been the biggest growth for Parker?
Well, there's a couple factors. I think one that's glaringly obvious is just the fact that he never played receiver until he got here to BYU. And so there's just been this natural progression every year where he's had to get to know the playbook, work on some of just the little nuances of the position, physically get stronger and faster, even though he was already faster, but playing with his strengths, which is speed and quickness. There's all these things every year. Plus you add that on top of, there were just guys who, even though he could have played athletically any year, there were always guys who were ahead of him that were more experienced and were in the position that he was striving to get to. And so all those factors work to just him having the growth and the development he has. Another piece, which I know he'll admit publicly, is just the him latching on to Chase Roberts and kind of hitching his trailer to him, his process and how he does things, how he studies film, the way he carries himself off the field, his habits off the field when no one's watching. All that stuff has just, Parker's declared to our room, to myself, and he'll never hold back on just the love and appreciation he has for Chase. And so there's a couple other things, but those are the two biggest things that I think have contributed to his growth. And I agree, next year there's no reason why he can't have a phenomenal year that puts him in a position to get a lot of special attention, and I'm excited for him.
And last thing for you, Coach, and you brought him up, Chase Roberts. What has he meant to this BYU program? I mean, I remember when he came in off the mission 2021, 5 straight years. I mean, that's I would like to think this BYU program is a place that can continue to produce that type of retention, but you just never know in this climate these days. What has Chase meant to BYU football and your hopes for him going forward after this bowl game?
The same thing I said about Kalani, I'll say about Chase from a player standpoint, that he is BYU. When I look at the criteria I want in a young man coming into BYU as a receiver, he checks every single box, both on and off the field. A lot of scouts obviously come and they've been watching him, and I talk to all those guys, and anytime they ask me, because I just assume everyone knows how the purity of Chase Roberts and the kind of human he is, but these scouts really don't. They just see film and they know how. So when they ask me that question, I'm kind of like, what is the sky blue? Like, what do you mean? How is he? And so, but it's a chance for me to explain to them, and I'll say the same on record here, that the best way I can say it is if I want my daughter, I have a daughter, if I could check a list of the kind of person I want her to marry, it literally would be someone like Chase Roberts. That's the greatest compliment I can give him. I'm going to miss him. He's had an unbelievable impact on our room, on this university, on me as an individual, and many other coaches, and the sky's the limit for him. I know he's going to have a great future in whatever he chooses to do, and I'll love him forever, man.
And that's BYU passing game coordinator Fesi Sitake. How about that commentary? Talking about this extension ultimately puts BYU in a spot to compete at the highest levels. Look, and just this editor's note, I referenced Kalani and Fesi as brothers. I know they're cousins, but they would almost be like offended if you said they were cousins. They feel like they're brothers, and they view each other as brothers. But pretty cool stuff there from Fesi Sitake, talking about a variety of topics with BYU football. I appreciate his time with me. Let's take a break. We'll get back to some BYU basketball talk, maybe size up the Big 12 as conference play is around the corner. We'll hit on that next here on Cougar Sports Saturday. Chase just moments ago saw you grounding, I believe, with Bear Bachmeier. What goes into that? Did Bear get you on board with that?
Yeah, it's more of a Skylar Main, Doc Main thing. He has all the starters go out after those that want to get extra work and make sure that we ground, take our shoes off, take our socks off, cut off the tape, and get our joints, everything moving, stretch out a little bit. Me and Bear do a little throwing together after, and that's kind of a routine that we've started and we're going to stick with.
Where do you see the benefits by doing that?
I think obviously there's the benefits that he talks about, the science behind it, but more mentally being able to just chat and talk together with Bear, get the extra reps in and just get on the same page, chat with each other, talk about life, whatever it is, and then get confident for the game. So I think that's the biggest part, is just the friendship part of it.
And the confidence showed itself quite a bit in Ames a couple weeks ago with you guys getting that big win. How confident is this offense right now heading into this big game against Texas Tech?
Yeah, we're super confident. I think we just need to do our job, stick to our 111th and love the challenge. I think we're all wanting this moment, and that's what it takes, wanting to be out there, wanting to match up against the best guys and just go give it our all. So we're confident, ready to go.
It's kind of, how do you tune out the magnitude of rankings and things like that and just stay dialed into that 111th and owning that portion of the game?
Yeah, I think with Big 12 play, like, every team's great, so you can't get caught up in the rankings. You just got to go one game at a time and win every game you come up against, and then hopefully play in the Big 12 championship. That's our goal. This is kind of game one of our end of the season playoffs. And we're ready to go, and win or go home mentality. So this is a big game, and I think that's how we approach every game, though. So we're just going to do our thing and play our game.
Do you feel rested and ready to go for that stretch run coming out of the bye?
Oh yeah, it's been awesome. The bye's been great. Been able to rest, throw up the legs, and do a little stretching and yoga and all that jazz. So feel ready to go. Feel fast and free, and just excited to go ball out.
What stands out to you about Texas Tech's secondary and this defense as a whole?
I mean, it's a great defense. They all have great athletes. So we got to win our matchups. We got to block. We got to do our jobs. And they're just very, very athletic, very disciplined. When you put that together, it's a great defense. So, but that's what we want. We want to show out against a great defense. So just excited for Saturday.
You bring up blocking, and any receiver in this program will talk about that. It's such a key piece, and I think people on the outside would not think wide receivers and blocking, but that's a key aspect of this offense, isn't it?
Yeah, you look at all the big plays that happen in the games, big runs by LJ and Bear, and it takes guys blocking in the secondary, the second, third level, doing our jobs, being able to crack down or get that safety that's over top, or cutting off our guy in the corner, not letting him run down the tackle. So we pride ourselves in that, and it's very important when it comes to those big time plays.
Were these spots for the game that you're about to have on Saturday what you envisioned when you decided to come back for your senior season?
Oh yeah, we knew we were going to be in this situation. At least I did. But we always want to stay just humble, hungry. Inside, I'm confident in our team. We're not going to, say it out on Twitter and tweet it out. But yeah, I knew we would be here. I love our team, and I know that we can win every game, every matchup we face. So we should go do our thing and love our brothers and go get it done.
And just how impressed too have you been with a true freshman helping you guys get there?
Yeah, he doesn't play like a true freshman, so it's fun to see him go ball out and just be him and play his game. It's just the game we played as little kids, so you go out and you make plays and you rely on your training and athleticism and what you've been doing growing up. So that's what we do. It's like backyard ball, and we go have fun. So
last couple things here, Chase, just areas of focus for the offense this week heading into this game.
I think just playing with intensity, loving the challenge, doing our job, staying focused, and making contested plays. As receivers, we pride ourselves in that. So that's what we're going to do on a big time stage, and this is the time. It's time to do it. So
it's a morning game. I know you guys had that last year. It used to be a thing. People on the outside would say, "Oh, day games for BYU," but you guys have had a lot of success with those spots. What do you think of the morning spot as a road team? Did any change up anything for you guys?
No, we're just going to go play our game. We've been on the road. Last year against Baylor, we woke up, early and went and started fast. It's the fastest game we started, I think, as an offense. So that's the plan again this Saturday.
That's going to do it for this edition of Cougar Sports Saturday. I hope all of you enjoyed it. We'll be back next week, and we'll get a deeper preview into BYU and Georgia Tech and talk the latest in the world of BYU sports next week here on Cougar Sports Saturday, and it's powered by KSL Sports.